and here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. Pope Francis spoke to leaders of the Council of the Evangelical Church in Germany, a body representing Lutherans, Reformed, and United communities. The Pope told the group that when the world is experiencing serious rifts and new forms of exclusion and marginalization, Christians have an even greater responsibility to respond to Jesus' call to unity and to being witnesses of reconciliation. Rome Reports has more on the meeting from the Vatican.
The Pope held a meeting with an ecumenical delegation from the German Evangelical Lutheran Church. The Protestant bishop greeted the Pope with a strong handshake. Also in attendance were Cardinal Kurt Koch and Cardinal Reinhard Marx, president of the German Episcopal Conference. Pope Francis recalled the 5th centenary of the Reformation and said that it is time for Catholics and Protestants to go further in the quest for unity.
Quest'anno di commemorazione ci offre l'opportunità di compiere un ulteriore passo in avanti, guardando il passato senza rancori, ma secondo Cristo e nella comunione in Lui.
He also explained that the reformers wanted to renew the church, but the result ended in a tragic division. To overcome it, the Pope suggested finding the common roots of Catholics and Protestants.
La riscoperta delle comuni sorgenti della fede, il risanamento della memoria nella preghiera e nella carità e la collaborazione concreta nel diffondere il Vangelo e servire i fratelli siano impulsi a procedere ancora più speditamente nel cammino.
Finally, Pope Francis invited the delegation to continue to seek formulas to overcome the division, a situation that harms believers in everyday matters, such as when Christians want to marry different confessions.
Looking now at news from around the world, the U.S. Bishop's immediate past president, Archbishop Joseph Kurtz, just recently completed a visit to Vietnam. The Archbishop, as a representative of the USCCB, was there for a number of reasons, including showing support for Vietnamese Catholics and providing help with the first college-level Catholic school approved in the Asian country in about 40 years. After a long period of negotiation, the government was able to approve the brand new Catholic Institute of Vietnam, which someday will hopefully become a university. Archbishop Kurtz said the church in Vietnam is looking for support to help build the institute's library, create programs that would have students come to the U.S. to learn English, and help for starting a visiting professor program. During his late January visit, the Archbishop also celebrated masses at various dioceses across the country, met with the Vietnamese Bishops' Conference president, spoke with the U.S. Embassy deputy chief, and spent time with servants of Jesus Sisters and some seminarians. More news now from the Vatican. Pope Francis has named his special delegate and spokesperson to the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. This special delegate is to work closely with the order's temporary leader to carry out a renewal of the order's constitution. Rome Reports has more from the Vatican.
This is the letter Pope Francis sent to his third-in-command, now a special delegate to the Order of Malta. In it, he says that from now on, Archbishop Angelo Becciu is the only person who can speak on behalf of the Pope before the order. He does not mention it explicitly, but it does mean the cardinal patron of the order, Raymond Burke, does not represent him on this matter. Archbishop Becciu will work with the lieutenant ad interim, Fray Ludwig Hoffmann von Römerstein, the highest authority of the order, until a new Grand Master is appointed. Together they'll prepare the next extraordinary chapter of the order and will decide on the modalities of a study to update the constitution of the order and its regulation. The Pope asked him to work for reconciliation among all its members, religious and laity, and to dedicate himself to the spiritual and moral renewal of the order, especially of religious members. The Pope's representative will not make decisions on the diplomatic relations of the Order of Malta or its projects. The crisis began when one of the members of the governing council was expelled with the alleged support of the Pope. Since that was not the case, Pope Francis asked the Grand Master to resign so that the order could resume peacefully. The arrival of the Pope's representative should be a step in that direction.
And finally in the news, the Vatican has released a new updated guide to the Church's bioethical teachings called the New Charter for Healthcare Workers. The charter is meant to offer clear guidelines to many ethical problems in healthcare and to reaffirm the sanctity of life, as well as address questions arising from the many medical and scientific advancements made since the first charter was published in 1994. One of the issues partially dealt with in the charter is the use of vaccines produced with cells from aborted fetuses. The charter says that everyone has a duty to voice their disapproval of this kind of biological material being in use and to ask that alternatives be made available. Many of the issues added to the updated charter were dealt with in the Doctrinal Congregation's 2008 instruction on certain bioethical questions, such as the immorality of human cloning, artificial reproduction and contraception, freezing of human embryos or of human eggs, use of human embryos and embryonic stem cells for research or medical use, and pre-implantation diagnosis leading to the destruction of embryos suspected of defects. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.